Hi there everybody, welcome to day, I think this is 16 of VEDS. I am 2 days late here with my response video because, to be totally honest with you guys, I completely forgot. But here I am 2 days late for responding to the second week of your fabulous VEDS content. I usually go down the list and pick one video from each of y'all to talk about, but there's a couple of situations here where I couldn't pick just one. Anyway, I'll get right into it, and I'll start with James. Again, couldn't pick just one because this is really about two videos you made, in that I am just so stoked about this Wizard of Oz tier list concept. I am very curious to see if anything will ever be able to take the spot of the 1939 MGM Classic. That's such like the gold standard for Wizard of Oz that it's hard to imagine anything can top it, but I haven't really seen most of the stuff that you put on that list, so maybe I'm totally wrong. Including when it comes to The Wiz, I was really stoked to watch your video about that. The Wiz is one of those shows where I really keep meaning to watch it. It's in my top 10 of things I swear I keep meaning to watch and then never get around to, but I really will have to do that. It's very interesting, and I'm a big Motown guy. I'm trying to think if it's actually a Motown production. I'm not sure, but of course it's got Diana Ross and Michael Jackson in it, so they must have had at least some involvement. Anyway, moving on to Caleb. I cannot stop thinking about Thomas Blood. First of all, cool ass name. Second of all, that guy must have been the coolest guy in the world. He must have been the best guy to hang out with imaginable. I mean, he stole, or at least attempted to steal, the crown jewels, injured a guard in doing so, and then when he went to meet the king was like, damn, I didn't know you were chill like that. Here's a job. Do you want a paid position? How cool must this guy have been? Anyway, just a legend. I'm so glad to know that story. Someone is here.
Hi.
Tamara says hi.
Good morning. I'm dyeing my hair, so I'll be
Yes.
back in my red hair phase in a second. Okay, you have fun.
Her hair smells like strawberries.
I love you.
I love you too. Alicia, I always love your original songs and ukulele covers. I was particularly mesmerized by you doing the intense part of that Amanda Palmer ukulele anthem song. It's very intense, and it's a great song for when you're having a heckin' bad time. It's fun to watch you get a little bit of aggression out through that song. No better way than music, I feel. But I'm also thinking a lot about Song a Day, man. 5,000 just seems like a really, really big number, especially when you're doing it every day. I have some questions about it. Has he ever missed a day? And does he do the classic VEDSie move occasionally and make a song about his inability to write a song that day? I bet he has. He has to have at least a few times. Yeah, being in the midst of this project and thinking about a number like 5,000 while I'm struggling to cope with 30. While we're talking about covers, I'm going to move along to Jeffrey, who I really enjoyed. Was that your singing debut? I think it was your singing debut. I'm sure Singing Guy is very proud of that video. That was a very cute little skit with Abby as well. I enjoyed every minute of it. That was one of two videos this week that I watched more than once. And the other one was Abby's cover. It's so good. Sorry, that was a little intense, but it's so good. First of all, I love that song. I'm trying to think of why I even know that song at all, because I certainly don't know much about who wrote it or what show it was in. But I think what happened was I was hanging out with Alicia and it just showed up in her iTunes playlist. But it's a great song, and you just absolutely killed it, and I could tell you put a lot of work into that video too. Yes, I've watched that one over and over. It's so special. You do have a very sweet singing voice, so don't second guess yourself. But wow, I love it so much. I really wouldn't have pegged you for somebody who was gonna pull out some covers in this VEDS, but I am like 300% here for it. But again, I must cheat because I could not get through this video without mentioning a second video of yours, Abby, because of your video, Stim, Sing, Stumble, Smile. When I was a kid, it raised some, shall I say, concern when every time I would become excited about anything, I would be doing some form of this, which is, you know, red flag for autism spectrum related things. Over the years I've honed it in a little, but there's still like a lot of this going on, and I'm honestly real embarrassed by it, and I make my best effort whenever I'm editing a video to keep that out of it, because I don't know, I guess it just makes me embarrassed. But you know, every now and again it seeps into a video somehow. But yeah, I've made a genuine effort to not show people that, because I don't love it, and I really actually, Tamara can attest to this, but she went back inside, that when I saw you talking about that, I was like, look! Other people do that! Well, I obviously knew other people do that, but it was really cool to see you speaking about that and making it feel a little bit more normal. Really do genuinely appreciate that. And then I wanted to save this for last because I have some thoughts about it. I wanted to talk about Tessa's video about D23. Now when it comes to D23, I usually don't care that much about the new Disney movies they're going to announce, although Pixar is a passion of mine. And I got to say, when I first heard that they were making an Inside Out 2, I could not have been more excited. When the first Inside Out came out, and I was surprised to learn that I was totally in the minority in thinking this. I really, really desperately wanted to see a second movie. I thought the way they told the story of sort of like you said, early in the timeline of what is considered coming of age, but still, putting her at, what is she, 12 in the first movie? You see so much of what it is to feel like you're growing up, and they do such an expert job of showing how it feels to be inside your own head around that age. Blew my mind, and I really, really wanted to see the progression through teenagehood and further on. And I acknowledge they've taken a really massive risk here. It's going to be really, like you said, difficult to talk about it without, you know, you don't want to get too graphic. You don't want to skip over things, and I really don't know how you're going to accomplish both of those things. I have faith in them. They've made some pretty magical movies over the years. And yeah, I really actually did not expect them to make a sequel to this. I know they're really obsessed with sequels, but this one really felt like a standalone. But I am actually extremely happy to get a sequel to that. When it comes to, now I want to touch on, I should have done more research on this before I filmed this video, but I wanted to touch on what I've heard about some of the original cast members not being in this new movie over a pay dispute. That is a real shame. You know, when I was growing up, when you had, you know, Toy Story 2, you had the original cast, and they probably made a hell of a lot more money than they did in the first Toy Story movie, because kids wanted to see them again, and they knew that they wouldn't want to make a Toy Story 2 without, you know, Tom Hanks and without, why can't I remember his name? Guy from Home Improvement who goes, Tim Allen. Sorry. But without them, how could you make that movie? And then the same goes for all the other sequels, for all the various movies they've made over the years. It does seem extremely unfair that they offered them such a lowball sum. I'm particularly upset for Mindy Kaling for what she has done for the landscape of the world of television and how important a figure she is. To lowball her for a movie like this is downright insulting. And so when it comes to that, I am very disappointed. I also want to touch on some park stuff. I know that the parks side of the panel was considered a major disappointment for a lot of people. When it comes to the Disney parks news, I am most interested in Disneyland Resort stuff. The Disneyland Resort is my local Disney theme park, being but a brief 20-hour drive away from my home. I will be taking that on in a couple of weeks here. But, so that's the stuff that I'm most excited about. I don't see myself being able to make a trip over to Disney World anytime soon. I know the talk of the new Toontown being built, and people consider Toontown to be quite a dated land, and some are surprised that it's even still hanging around to this day. But I have a special love for Mickey's Toontown, in that I want to know if any of y'all VEDSies or anybody watching this video remembers this. Do y'all remember Mickey's, or maybe it was Disney's Toontown Online, that MMO that was geared towards kids? that was another one of those situations where Disney, for some reason, took an anti-corporate stance despite being one of the largest corporations in the world, and made a game about how all these evil corporate cogs were taking over the town and destroying all the small businesses, ignoring what Disney has done over the years to the city of Anaheim, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, anyway, I loved that game so much growing up. I spent hours and hours playing it, and so to be able to walk through Mickey's Toontown, even though, like, the Roger Rabbit movie, for some reason I didn't get to watch until recently, so it was not really a part of my childhood. To me, it's just like I'm walking through that old video game, and I love it so much, and I'm really excited to see the new iteration of the themed land. I also want to talk about new Tomorrowland that's going to open with the Tomorrowland Plaza in, is it Disneyland Paris or Tokyo? I think it's Tokyo, and they say 2027, and my question to that is, why not Disneyland? Now, I love everything about old closed down former Disneyland rides, and it is cool to have the old people mover track in the middle of Tomorrowland as a sort of a reminder of a bygone attraction, but that's just for history, Graham. Practical Graham realizes that, why do you have the skeleton to a ride that hasn't existed for literally 25 years in the middle of a theme park land themed towards the future? This is a future that you have conceptualized in 1998 when the most recent new Tomorrowland came out, and even that one was a bit of a cost-cutting measure when it came out. It was not to the highest specifications of what they had originally envisioned for it. But yeah, that was a different time in Disneyland's history, cost-cutting times, but a new Tomorrowland has been very, very overdue. And by the fact that they've now announced a new one for Tokyo for 2027, but nothing for Disneyland, implies that we are at least half a decade, probably, until they even start work on a new concept for Tomorrowland. I usually don't like to get into the argument of, Walt Disney would never have allowed this, but he was very keen on updating Tomorrowland. He wanted to do it every 10 or 15 years. Disneyland opened in 1955. They made their first large update to Tomorrowland in 1967, opening just after Walt's death. And since then, they've only updated it once, and it doesn't feel all that future-y to me. And the last thing I want to mention is that I am very excited to see what becomes of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I am a huge Splash Mountain fan. I acknowledge why it's a little bit problematic right now, but I am really excited to see the new re-theme of that ride. That ride, the original Splash Mountain over at Disneyland, is currently hanging on for dear life. It's got some animatronics that aren't working right, and it quite literally could be closed any day now, and I am just praying that it hangs on just a little bit longer, just a couple of weeks, so that I can ride it one last time in October. Anyway, I believe I've covered everything. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'm sure that after I finish filming this, I'll remember someone's video from this week that I forgot to mention. But in any case, I'll leave y'all here. I am here from Edmonton, out on tour. I've got gigs the next 2 days that you're going to see vlogs from, and then I don't know what I'll make for the next 3 or 4 days after that. We'll see. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll catch you again tomorrow and every day for the rest of this month.